The strategy that we will follow during the bake of this model will be based upon creating separate bakes for the already detached parts. Then, we will find a way to bake the orthographic views, either individually or combined. However, further image processing might be required inside Photoshop or any image editing software. The path of trying to pack the whole model into one baking process is unattainable without a lot of struggles. The main goal of this chapter is to create the required textures in simple approach to save both time and effort. Time to bake the trunk lid frame. Clone copy the plane, then adjust it to match the shape of the trunk lid frame. The visible surface and the vertices normals are now directed towards the bottom. Make sure that any changes of the plane topology will follow the same direction or tendency if possible. Bending the plane to match the lid will not affect the baked texture, unless you change the UV map to reflect the new shape of the plane. I will keep the UV map unaltered. Add projection modifier to the plane object level. Pick the truck lid frame. Press 0 on your keyboard to open the Texture Tools dialog. Then choose Bake to Texture. The Bake to Texture utility has kept records for our last bake, which is a lag inside the application. Incorrect result or errors might occur when reusing the old maps in new bake. Delete the old baked maps, then add the required maps to the queue. The bake texture is far from acceptable. This huge dark area or shadow over the map do not meet the required game standards that we have pointed to in previous chapters. We need to evenly distribute the shadows over the map. For that, we will need a new light to properly illuminate the 3D object. Add Arnold physical light to the scene, then redo the baking process. For demonstration purpose, I am going to delete the edge loop that bend the plane. Then, approximately adjust its orientation to cover the lid frame. Deleting the loop will not affect the UV map. However, rotating the plane itself might change the projection view angle. Trying to adjust or scale the projection view angle from the Unwrap UVW modifier is not the right solution. Manipulating the UV map might result in changing the size or the scale of the baked maps, and it will not affect the projection view angle. Let's do a bake with the current setup so that you can compare the result with the previous bake. Delete the old bake map from the queue, then add the required map to bake. Obviously, editing the plane geometry did not affect the bake map. However, the bake map is trimmed at the lower edge due to the incorrect projection view angle. We need the plane to fully cover the lid frame so that it can capture all the details. It's easy to project an object from any of the orthographic views. However, when rotating the plane surface, we will create a new projection view that is not aligned with any of the orthographic views. In order to overcome this technical problem, we can either align the UV map to any of the view axes to match the details we want to capture. This solution might suit certain cases in which the details are perfectly aligned with any of the orthographic views. The other solution is to align the plane itself to cover the 3D object and avoid manipulating the plane UV map. We can try to align the plane in the orthographic and the perspective viewports. This method of alignment will be approximately. The rough coverage may not work from the first try. Let's add Arnold physical light to the scene. To avoid further adjustment, add the physical light in the bottom viewport, so that the target light will be directed towards the object. I added the light in the top viewport, and the light target is not directed towards the frame. Rotate the light to direct the light target towards the frame. There are so many factors that can dictate the light effect on the object surface, such as the distance from the light source and the object, the orientation, the intensity, and the type of light. However, this is not a visualization tutorial. Diving into this topic might require a dedicated course or series. We will try to find the best convenient settings that suits the bake-to-texture process. You can increase the light surface by increasing the value of quad X and quad Y. Let's do a test bake. The rendered full white texture indicate high light intensity or high exposure. The rendered texture has a trimmed edge at the top and other deformation that we need to correct. Lower down the exposure value to 1. Again, other factors might affect the result, including the distance between the light source and the object. There is a black spot over the rendered texture, which indicate light miscalculations. As you might notice, the light surface is overlapping the 3D object at the exact area that was rendered black. You may also face this problem if there are flipped polygons over the surface of the 3D object. We know for sure that we do not have any flipped polygons, and this is a light problem. The solution for this problem is to move the light surface a little bit further from the 3D object, then redo the bake. However, I would like to investigate other maps while using the same light position. This is the result of the rendered maps. The beauty map has the black spot due to the light surface overlapping with the 3D object, which result in light miscalculations or unwanted black spot over the rendered map. The color map was not affected by the light surface overlapping. The normal map also was not affected. We could spend some time and fix this deformation inside Photoshop. However, the best solution is to correct the light location, then redo the bake of the required maps. Normal maps do not require alpha or transparency. You can disable the alpha from the map settings. If you do so, the bake map will use the available background color. Here is the new result. The black spot has been fixed. However, if we zoom in, you will start to notice smaller deformations over the texture. This is due to geometry deformation that occur when importing the CAD file inside 3ds Max. As CAD files are not 100% compatible with 3ds Max, further editing might be required to correct any geometry deformation. Luckily, we do not need to spend time in either editing the geometry or editing the baked texture. Since we have baked this map in 4K, and this part will be scaled down in the final texture, and all these little deformations will be unnoticed or vanished. The normal map background will be applied in respective to the UV map, and the UV map of the plane is currently occupying only half of the map size. This is why we get black in the other empty half of the rendered map. Since we will do further image editing inside Photoshop, all the baked maps should have transparency or alpha to ease the editing process. Later, we can add the background color inside Photoshop.